Sense International. I'm also the Senior Youth Engagement Advisor for WIPE 2LE, and I serve as the co-champion for the Youth Engagement Community of Practice alongside Katie Green. And it is great to be with you this morning. I'm particularly excited to welcome our youth speakers. We have young people joining us from Nepal, Uganda, and Nigeria. Two of them are almost 7,000 miles away, so they are joining us virtually. We have a slight delay, so bear with us. There's maybe about a 10 to 15 second delay between the question and the connection. So we will figure that out. We have Nilima Raut. She's our YouthPower Learning Consultant and former Atlas Corps Fellow with YouthPower Learning. Ebenezar Wikina is a former YouthLead Ambassador and currently a project coordinator for ND Link with the Foundation for Partnership Initiatives in the Niger Delta, PYD. And then with us on stage, we have Annet Birungi. She's with Safeplan Uganda and a YouthPower Learning Grantee through the Young Women Transform Prize. And each of our youth speakers today brings a different and pretty unique perspective from their experience with Youth Power Learning as employees, as YouthLead ambassadors, and as grantee recipients. So we're really happy to have their voices with us. They're going to speak about how the program has impacted their work, but also how they've impacted the program. We're going to start by asking them to share some specific examples from their experiences with Youth Power, and then we'll end the conversation with inviting some of their recommendations around best practices for youth engagement. We only have about 25 minutes for this discussion, so unfortunately we won't have a Q&A, but we will hear from them directly. So with that, I'm going to welcome our speakers, and I want to turn it over to our first speaker, Nilima Raut, and invite her to offer her insights. So Nilima, you bring perspective as a change maker who has been embedded with Youth Power Learning project as an Atlas Corps Fellow in our office and is serving as a consultant as well. And I wanted to invite you to offer a couple of examples of how this experience has impacted your work and your work at home in Nepal. Go ahead, Nilima.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at the Youth Power Learning annual meeting. I want to highlight a couple of points on my experience working with the YouthLead team and my involvement with the YouthLead team and overall Youth Power Learning team as well. First thing was when I was working with YouthLead team, and I'm still working with the team, being involved in a youth program that is global, or being a part of a global team working to create a platform for young change makers, I was able to bring my perspective about what it means to be a young person from developing countries like Nepal, and incorporate those ideas into the activities that we're planning, that we're implementing every day. I was also making sure that there is a representation, equal representation from all the countries and region and gender as well. So whenever we received applications from different countries and different parts of the world, we are making sure that all the applications, like even the ambassadors and all the applications represents at least all the regions from the world. The second point that I want to highlight is being engaged in a program. We're making sure that we have a very impactful engagement of youth. So we were not only opening or bringing opportunities for young people. We are also now, is it okay now? So we're also doing a good engagement. Even when we were developing the website, YouthLead platform, we are making sure that we have the advisory group who helped us to shape the website, who helped us to decide and define some of the pages and the sectors, and if to test the website if it was friendly or not. I was also able to connect to all the young change makers around the world. I was able to understand their project, their context, and how they are working to bring the change in their community as well. I know that the YouthLead Ambassador Program is a virtual connection for young change makers around the world. But even though they'd never met in person, they were able to apply for some programs together. They created a group and applied for some program together. So our ambassador program as well, like it was also impactful on the for the ambassadors and for the members as well. And lastly, working with the team or the project as an Atlas Core Fellow or the Youth Power Learning Project itself, it gave me many opportunities to learn and share my experiences or as ideas, also share my ideas just like other team members at Making Sense International. So I was the positive youth engagement was happening from within the team and was happening throughout the platform and through all the campaigns and activities that we were leading. So I was able to grow more professionally. I was given recognition as a core team member of YouthLead in all the platforms. And after working with the team for 18 months, and now I'm back in Nepal, and I see that my experience with the Youth Power team or Making Sense International has definitely opened the door for more opportunities. And my vision to work as a global youth development program person is now more clear and more solid. So it has definitely changed my dream from it might be possible to it is possible. So thanks to the great team who were actually implementing the positive youth development within the team and throughout all the activities.
I know the connection isn't great, but I think that the messages she's conveying are really clear, and that I want to emphasize how important the role of the Atlas Core Fellows has been to getting the program off the ground, to helping us shape how we've engaged young people, bringing those perspectives not just as young people, but also as technical experts themselves. They've been working on their own projects in the field. They've brought that expertise and shared that with our team from the beginning, and it's been really valuable. But I think the other side of that it is a skill-building opportunity and a capacity-building opportunity, and I think Nilima is a great example of that in practice. So thank you, Nilima. Annet, we're really lucky to have you here in person, all the way from Uganda. And we spoke yesterday about your experience as a Young Women Transform Prize grantee recipient and some of your experiences and how that's informed your work with Safeplan Uganda. And I wanted to invite you to share some examples of that.
Thank you. Actually, I just like the word Young Women Transform Prize, Youth Power, YouthLead. I applaud the team that was behind forming these names because you feel the power as a young person. You feel the energy. So the Young Transform Prize as an organization, it was really a responsive to streamline the priority needs of young women in the rural community. Me who grew up in a rural community and where I live, I knew what it means, and it was really a great impact for the Young Women Transform Prize. So we had to streamline, go to the community, carry out some assessments with the young women, get their views, get their views, what do they think about the program, how we could also integrate, integrate their input in our program implementation. So it was quite long engaging and participatory to young women, because previously as Safeplan Uganda, we have for 8 years now, we had been doing programs to develop youth potentials, to develop the community. And you know, of course, in general in the world or in Uganda or in African country, if you talk about youth, women are less included or they are limited in the program. So the Transform Prize was really streamlining, and it really knew what it wanted. Then another aspect or another impact of the Young Women Transform Prize is that it built also created the more trust in the partnerships, both local and the national, because as a YouthLead organization, which is still young and growing, basically we always lack opportunities. They are limited because we are small, we are young. They feel like we don't have enough expertise to implement the larger programs. The Young Women Transform Prize opened up the door. It really showed us the potential. It built our confidence that we can definitely manage larger grants and larger money. So from this trust in other partnerships, we were able to get partnership with the National Forestry Collaborative Management, because this grant specifically was to empower young women with the beekeeping best practices. And in Uganda and other African countries, traditionally women don't own land. So we have given these people skills, these women skills. Where are they going to hang their hives? So the National Forest Authority said, yes, we are giving you the land. This is the land which is the Forest Reserve Area land, so that women can put their hives and they continue to reserve the natural resources by planting trees and also practicing the sustainable land use management. So, and also me personally, I live in the community where I grew up in. I grew up in a very vulnerable state as a young girl. My father hated education at all. So it has become like an inspiration to many fellow young women, fellow young leaders. We are saying, yes, when a woman educated can do something big. So it is like an inspiration to me and to fellow young women who are following me, who look at me, knowing that, yes, when women are educated, they can really do great. And from this Transform Prize, we have come to realize that women have the potentials to develop their societies if they are given access to knowledge, to skills. They can do better, because women mostly, they are more concerned about the health care of the children, the education, and the well-being of the entire family. Then also the grant, it really, as an organization, being small, it really strengthened our systems, our internal systems, the financial systems, because when we had a visit from Making Sense International team, we had a lot of discussions, a lot of exchange learning. They had to really analyze our systems, how we work, to prepare us to manage bigger grants in the future, and also to get other partners that can really continue developing our work.
Thank you, Annette. I think it's helping, hearing from you, it's helping us understand the kind of ripple effect that these grants can have. And you've talked about the personal impact it had on you. You've talked about the organizational impact it had on strengthening the systems of Safeplan Uganda and expanding your work. And then you talked a little bit about the systemic impact that you were able to address a larger issue of women in land ownership because of this grant. So I think including your voices and helping us strengthen how we design these opportunities in the future is really important, and we appreciate you being here and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn to Ebenezar and invite him to speak a little bit about his experience as a YouthLead ambassador. And if you are not familiar with the YouthLead Ambassador Program, it is a cohort of young changemakers. We have about 20 in our first cohort, and they have been really instrumental in helping raise visibility for the YouthLead platform, as well as to become part of an interconnected network of young changemakers who can support each other, access resources, and build their own capacity. And Ebenezar is a great example of one of our YouthLead ambassadors. So Ebenezar, I'd love to invite you to share some thoughts.
Okay, hi everyone. It's a pleasure contributing to the conversation today. First of all, I'll say YouthLead had been amazing, seeing that it leverages on the power of the internet, to connect people all over the world pretty much. And in this case, it helped to connect young people, young change makers, with themselves, with opportunities, with information. And for me as a person, because of the work I do, my background is in journalism, but I got into development about 2 years ago. And if information is something that I've worked with for quite a while, but YouthLead opened me up to information in a very different manner, access to grants and fellowships and what people are doing, other projects, best practices, so all of this just put together on one platform, having people who you could easily reach out to and find out what they're doing was really amazing for me. So access to information was very key. As an individual, it also helped me to build my skills too. Seeing that I work in the information technology space, it helped me to get better understanding of how to use social media, online web content management platforms. It also helped me to see how my little efforts online contribute to the wider social media conversations. Because YouthLead, also helped within the period where ambassadors helped us to lead effective and good conversations online by making sure people are talking about what they should talk about. Young people talk about fashion and clothing and everything, but this was somehow inspiring young people to talk about development and making sure that they talk about the things that actually matter, for their future. So whether it's climate change or the SDGs, or when we had tweet chats on peace, or when we had tweet chats about the Nigerian economy, just making sure that they talk about the things that matter was a key driving force for us. On the YouthLead platform, and it was very beneficial.
Thank you, Ebenezar. So the recurring theme is, again, the opportunities that being part of the platform presents, but also the skills that you all bring as young change makers. And so there's this kind of relationship between skill building and helping us also expand the platform. So thank you so much for being a part of the YouthLead Ambassador Program. We've talked about the great things that have happened through this program, but I also wanted to end with hearing from you and your recommendations about how we can do youth engagement better going forward. And so, Nilima, I'd like to start with you and invite you maybe one or two specific recommendations you have for how we can strengthen our approach to youth engagement going forward.
So for me, youth engagement is effective when there is a right attitude of the stakeholders. So when there is a right attitude of the stakeholders towards young change makers, they should view or take youth as a resource, not only as volunteers or someone who can just complement the project. They should be viewed as an asset or experts or professionals who can bring new ideas to the team as well. They can be involved in the program design, not only like sharing an idea or just being an external source of information. When young people are empowered, they also share opportunities, connect other young change makers to other youth to opportunities as well. So youth are not only looking for opportunities to build their capacity or to gain knowledge or skills, they also are looking for opportunities to contribute in the community or in the society as well. So there should be a strong partnership between young people and other stakeholders and professionals in the development sector especially. And youth should have recognition for their work as well. For example, even though our ambassador program was very virtual, we were able to highlight the project and amazing work that the ambassadors have been doing in the communities in different countries through our platform. So attitude of stakeholders and partnership and recognitions are some of the points that I really want to recommend for the positive youth development, for the positive or strong youth engagement.
Yes, I can. So I would say my recommendation is for is to ensure that young people are involved in the process. YouthLead was pretty much youth-led, right? it ensured that we were part of the process from the beginning, right from the design stage up until when we were made ambassadors. And even while we were ambassadors, I mean, the team would always run decisions through us, and we want to do X, we want to do a campaign for this, what do you guys think about it? I think it's not effective to have a youth engagement plan without young people at the center of that plan. So that is one of the key recommendations I think everyone should live with. And then another thing is YouthLead, the ambassadorship program had a compensation at the end of the program, which I think was very motivating for us young people. I mean, it wasn't $10 million, but it was something small that inspired, it motivated us to work. It motivated us to work towards something. And young people, millennials, Zoomers, pretty much like a challenge, right? So it was a challenge for us. We had to do XYZ things to eventually get to that goal. So the conversation drove everyone, to make sure they met up with all their tasks and everything. So when you have some sort of compensation for volunteers, young people, it's always a good way to incentivize their efforts. It makes them work towards something, which is what inspires movement. So that was one really good example of engaging us and motivating us in the same process and getting us to the target.
Thank you, Ebenezar. And Annette, we will end with you. What are your recommendations?
Thank you. I really love to quote the previous speaker who said that we are the champions and we want to lead this championship. So what do I mean? They are young people. Young people are quarter of population worldwide, and there are more new established organizations all over. So some of the organizations, they are established with passion. They know what they want, and they really love. They have the potential. They have the ideas, and they are more creative. So we need more. We need to be more supported with the resources. We need the spaces like this where we can meet and discuss, create new ideas for more innovative actions that are more inclusive of young people. Because when you include young people in your program, with my life example, you create the sustainability. Because young people, they know we own this thing, this is ours, and we must push it forward. And what are young people? When we of course, we are young people, we are doing things that we are planning ahead of the future. You cannot play in your thing because, if you are playing your program and that's where you are looking at the future to benefit the greater community, we really focus, we utilize all the energies that we have. And also the YouthLead organizations, for example, in rural community where I live, we are able to use even the limited resources to do greater things in the community because we utilize the local communities, we utilize the local resources in the community, we utilize the available talents to do greater impacts, which supplement the small grants that maybe we would have received from the donors and also the subcontractors. And I'm glad that the YouthPower Learning Tool is going to focus on research and assessment, and I really love to see this is really tackled because we are not trusted in most of the things, and yet we can do more bigger things in our communities. We know better, we know the context of the community, and we know where to tap, we know where to get the untapped potentials to supplement the implementation of the programs. Then one more last recommendation. I don't know. I think next time you should give us more time because we really have the space is limited for us young people to meet and engage and discuss more other issues that really concern us. So I request next time we get opportunity to be here and organizers, you would really maybe give us more opportunity to discuss other issues that really concern us. Then the big organizations who have got expertise, we really need mentorship as growing organizations. I really thank this Young Women Transform program. It really matched us like a mentorship or a consultant who was really able to see that we keep in the track, we grow our wings, we grow our potentials, see that our programs are really impactful to the greater community and young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. I know we're over time, but I think it's really important that we had the chance to hear from the young people that we were trying to impact. So I want to thank our intrepid online participants for hanging in there with us. Nilima and Ebenezar, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to Annet as well for your insights.